Hello, happy people. As an extension to what we did in previous weeks, we may have already seen on the channel, we are looking at more advanced shooting systems. Even if you're quite happy with the basic shooting system we've looked at before, this may still have relevance for you. What I'd like to look at here is adding virtual hands into the scene, so you've actually got some hands for the character. Adding a shoot script that limits the number of shots based on amount of ammunition, the ability to reload that by replacing a magazine. Adding a socket interactor for the magazine to socket into, limiting the socket so only magazines can reload the weapon through the use of layers, interaction layers, and then displaying the ammo count on the weapon itself. So let's get straight to it. Good, we are recording. Right, so this is the same scene we looked at last week, which you can still find on the X drive. It is the VR template shooting demo. You can find that on the X drive. Remember, you should find this on the X drive, copy it from the X drive into the source and repos folder of your machine, and then extract it. If it takes more than 15 minutes to open this project, something has gone wrong. So this is what it looks like by default, and you'll find, just like last week, the simulator is on by default in this particular package. So edit and project settings, and in the project settings you'll notice the XR interaction toolkit by default has the simulator on. That is great if you're not on a headset. If you are on a headset, you want to turn that thing off, okay? Otherwise you will be really short and really confused as to why it's not working. This is my first demo using the new microphone and the Quest 3, so we'll see how well this goes down. So again, just showing that this does support Quest 2, Quest 3, and while we're here, under project settings, if you have another headset you wanted to support, you could go to the OpenXR tab and add another interaction profile. If you wanted to support different devices, you can do so there, and it would just cope, which is quite nice. So what I want to do first is getting the Oculus hands within the project. The XR interaction setup controls holds everything to do with the player character, including the vignette. Whoops. So if you were slightly annoyed by the kind of shield that appears when you move, the thing that obscures your vision, that is in here. In here you've also got the XR interaction rig, or the XR Origin, which used to be called XR Rig, and in there you've got the camera offset, which contains a bunch of useful stuff, including the controllers and the main camera. A couple of you got a bit stuck with the tutorial from last year, which I had to do last week, which talked about finding the ray interactors, which are now children of the controllers, as opposed to being in the controllers themselves. But while we're here, the main camera, that's the tunneling vignette. That's pronounced vignette, by the way. If you don't like the tunneling vignette, if you don't like the way it kind of fades to black when you move, this is how you turn it off. Easy as that. So in this particular tutorial, that's what I'm going to do. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to jump on Moodle and find the Oculus hands. On the Moodle page, under the Virtual Reality Project, you will find under, where did I put it? Here it is, under the assignment 4 resources, you've got Oculus Hands Complete. Dependent on when you see this tutorial, may depend on whether I fixed a problem with it or not, but I will show you it's unbroken and I may fix it for you. We'll see. So all I'm going to do is take that package from my downloads folder and drag and drop that into my asset space. That's exactly like pulling an asset from the asset store. You get the same window, we import it, and these hands have been pre-animated for you, so they're ready to go, but they do currently have a problem that may be fixed, may not, we'll see. While that's doing, I'm going to get the headset set up. So, what you'll find here, you've now got that Oculus Hands folder, which contains a series of prefabs for the left hand and the right hand. You'll notice they're green by default. If you want to change that, you can go into materials and change the colour. I just wanted something that was very, very standard. You can change the colour if you wanted to, or you can add a more interesting shader if you wanted to make them semi-transparent or something like that. The way you add these into your scene is you go to the left and right controller respectively. Remember, this is under the XR origin. Left controller, and when I scroll down on the XR controller on the left hand, you've got this thing here for model prefab. By default, it loads a 3D model of the controller in. If you want a hand instead, well, you go into the prefabs for it. And the left controller, I'm going to drag and drop in the left hand instead. I'm going to do the same for the right controller. I'm going to drag and drop the right hand in. Make sure you get it the right way around. Reason why there's currently a problem with this, I may quickly demonstrate it and show you actually. So the current issue with the controllers, I may just have to quickly restart that. Is the hands are done in such a way that there's colliders on them. So if I've got any physics objects, those are not currently physics objects, but I'll nudge stuff out of the way because there's colliders on there. The hands, I'm not happy with them. I made these and they feel slightly in the wrong place. They're okay. If you want to have a better go at this, I will link in the description for how to replace the hands, but they're better than nothing, okay? But let me show you the problem with them by default and how we can fix them. So if I just put in a cube, put it on the table, you get the idea. It's a cube, put a rigid body component on it and press play. You'll find that I'll knock the hands out of the way, or the hands should knock them, I imagine. Maybe I fixed it, who knows. Anyway, the reason why this was a problem and the way you fix it is on the prefabs for the hands, you'll notice there is a sphere collider on them. And that means you can nudge physics objects out of the way. I don't know why it was not working, but basically you want to turn that off or remove it. I may automatically have removed them by the time you get to this package, but they're there at the minute. So that's how you add hands into your scene that just work. You may like, though, if I go to the left and right controller, you've got some more settings here while we're looking at it. They should animate, they should look good, but here you've also got the interaction groups. And under the interactors, the direct interactor for left and right, you do have a setting here that says hide visuals. Where is it? Hide controllers on select. So I'm just going to turn that on for my direct interactor. Hide controllers on select, and I'm also going to do that for the ray interactors, and I can control click both of those. Maybe it's different. Maybe I can't do that for the ray interactors. Who knows? Let me just show you what that does basically. Well, let's make this grabbable first, I suppose. I'll make the gun grabbable while we're here. I'm going to add an XR grab interactable. The gun is now grabbable. What I expect to see is with that setting on, when I walk over to the gun and grab it, my hand disappears. When I let go, the hand reappears. This actually feels pretty good because it saves you having to constantly line up the hand and making it actually look like it's in the right position. It's actually a really elegant solution, and you quickly don't notice there's not a hand there. It's just a gun. So that's there. And if you find the hands are a bit too big, you can just scale the prefabs down and do whatever you like with them. While I'm here, I'm also going to go back to my game tab, and I'm going to go back to play focused. I thought it'd be a good idea to have this maximized. I don't like it anymore. So that will now, when you press play, keep the inspector down on the one side. There you go, just like that. So we are currently at adding hands and appreciating that you may have to fix them, you may not. Shooting! Let's go select our gun, which is now grabbable. We're going to add a new script called shoot. We're going to write the same script we've written 10 times by now, but this time we're going to make it more interesting. Only shoot if you got ammo. So in this script, I'm going to pop a few lines down. I'm going to have a publicly visible variable, which will be a whole number. So it's an int. And this will be the amount of ammo that we have. Let's start with 12 rounds of ammo. Semicolon to say that I'm done. I don't need a start or an update function, so let's get rid of them. What I do want is a public void. So we're writing a function that doesn't return anything, so it's void. And we're going to call this, I can't call it the same as the script, so let's call this pull trigger fire. Let's go with fire. Open and close regular brackets, open and close squiggly brackets, put a few lines down, and tidy up code. Whenever we fire our gun, we're going to do that raycast business. I'm going to create a raycast hit, which I'm going to call hit. If raycast hit, nope, if physics.raycast, and then we need to pass in the pieces of information we needed to make this work. Physics.raycast transform.position, so starting where we are, the origin is where we are. Transform.forward is the direction we want the gun to shoot. Out hit, we're passing the information into the raycast hit that we involve with a range of whatever the range of our gun is. While we're here though, I'm going to tidy this up. I'm going to create a public variable that will be a floating point value for range of our gun. And let's give it a range of 100 meters, semicolon to say that we're done. And now here, I'm not going to type in 100 or 200 or 300. I'm going to type in the range of the gun, which means each gun can have a unique range and still use this script. So you can use this script for sniper rifles and pistols and just change the range if you wanted to. At the end of that line, open and close regular brackets, space, and then we're going to destroy what we hit. Destroy what we hit, well, the game hit.transform.gameObject. Semicolon, say that you're done. That is what we've written a million times. There's nothing new there. What is new is we only want to shoot, we only want to do any of this if we've got some ammo. So back up to here. My God, Visual Studio, aren't you clever? So if the amount of ammo is greater than 0, we do something. And that's what Visual Studio is predicting for me. This modern AI, I'll be out of a job soon. Open regular brackets. It wants to close it there. I don't want the close, so I'm going to delete the close. I want the closing one about there. So if we have more than 0 ammunition, we shoot. There is one thing missing at the minute. If we pull the trigger, we should probably subtract our amount of ammunition as well. So if ammo is greater than 0, the first thing we're going to do is ammo is going to go down by 1. So that's 2 minus values, so ammo minus minus. Let's see what that does. You guys will be able to keep an eye on the gun because it's currently selected here. Shoot script, we've got ammo and range. Does the amount of ammo go down as we pull the trigger? I appear to have crashed my headset. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The astute amongst you will have remembered the problem. That's still going to say 12. There it is. Pause the video now to see if you can figure out why. Okay, if you're still here, the problem is I've got a shoot script I haven't told my gun to actually shoot yet, have I? So we've got our shoot script. It's an interactable event that we want to have happen when we activate the gun. So we're adding an event here. We're dragging the shoot script into that slot, and then we're telling it to call the shoot script and the fire function. Let me just show you that again in case you missed it. Drag the shoot script into there. We chose the shoot script and we chose the fire function. Let's see if this worked. Again, keeping an eye on our ammo count, which is 12. Currently I can't see this, so the player couldn't see this, but you guys can. I pick up the gun, I fire the gun. Do I get anything? There you go, 11. And we delete what we shoot at. There you go, and it can't go less than 0 because our if statement prevents it from doing so. Progress. So we've currently got a shoot script that limits based on the amount of ammo. Now we're going to make it reloadable. We're going to have a really nice, attractive magazine that can slot into this gun and make it so, you know, it reloads. So let's make something really nice and appropriate. A cube here, you'll do. So if you don't currently have a cube in your scene, go make a cube and make it roughly magazine size and shaped. I'm just positioning it by the gun, and if you get this view, remember you can press F to change your focus, so that will get rid of the shortening problem. That looks about right. I don't really want to position it in the gun, not straight away, but I just want it to be roughly positioned so I can tell it's roughly the right size. I'll keep it that colour. You can change the material if you want to. Or maybe we will. I've got a silver. Good enough. So, obviously if you've got an asset for it, you can replace it with an asset, but this will do for now. This object wants to be an XR grab interactable because we want to be able to grab it. What we are now interested in is this thing, when it is socketed into this thing, tells this thing to have some ammo. So there's a few stages to this. First thing is we need a socket interactor as a child of the gun. So with the gun selected, I'm going to right click on it. And I'm thinking the easiest way to do this, I could add a socket interactor straight away. That will be a sphere though. Do I want that? I don't think I do. No, I don't like that. So I don't want to use the default socket interactor. We're going to build a fresh one. You'll notice that the put some colliders on here, didn't I, manually? No, sod it. Let's go back to my original plan. Go and put a socket interactor as a child. There it is. And I'm just going to make it a bit smaller and make sure it's in the right place. You could replace the sphere collider. So if I turn that off, I could replace it with a box collider instead, which I could then rescale and position in the right place. Just remember that it must be a trigger. If you do that, that's what the sphere collider already is. You can choose to do that and resize it if you want to. I can't be bothered. So we're going to keep a sphere collider as yeah, that's better. I'm going to put sphere collider roughly there-ish and just roughly at the bottom. I could scale it so it's more squishy, but well, I can't because it's a sphere. Can't squish a sphere. Anyway, sphere collider is in place. If you can't see that particularly well, it's just there with the green shape. What we now want to do to our sphere collider is have the capacity for it to be reloaded. Now I could write a script that the socket interactor knows, but instead I'm going to tell the gun to handle this information. The gun already has a shoot script, which is fine, But now I'm going to ask it to handle reloading. So maybe this script shouldn't be called shoot, maybe it should be called something like gun handler or gun management, because it's actually going to handle quite a few things to do beyond shooting, but maybe that's something we can change later on. So in addition to having a block of code, a function for firing the weapon, underneath that we're going to have a block of code for reloading the weapon. Reloading is going to do quite a few bits and pieces, but at its core, what it's going to do is make ammo go back up to 12, or whatever its starting ammo capacity is. While we're here, let's just talk about how we can make this even better, because I've currently got that coded to 12, and I've got that coded to 12, but what if I've got a really big magazine? What if a gun has a big ammo capacity compared to another gun? Because remember, you can put this script on many different types of guns and it will work. So let's think about how we can do this better. I'm now going to create at the top a public float for max ammo, which I'm going to set at, well, I'm not even going to set at the minute. Now my ammo is not going to equal 12, it's going to equal my max ammo. Can't do that here, can I? Okay, that's fine. So max ammo and ammo, in order to set the ammo amount to the same amount of max ammo, all I'm going to do is rebring my start function back in, public void start. I'm going to set max ammo to equal ammo. No, I'm not. I'm going to make ammo equal the maximum amount of ammunition when the game starts. Okay, right, I'm an idiot. Integers. I'm dealing with whole numbers here, that's why I didn't like that. So make sure you've got public int max ammo, public int ammo, and a private start function. And all we're doing here is setting the amount of ammo to equal the maximum amount of ammo. Reason why this is useful is rather than setting it to 12 when we reload the gun, we're going to set it to the maximum amount of ammo for our gun. If you've got a gun that can handle 100 rounds or one that can handle 5, this just now works. So back into Unity, we should now see that the gun has a maximum amount of ammo, which I'm going to set to 12, a starting amount of ammo, which I'm going to set to, let's say, 5. Maybe we've half depleted this magazine before the game starts, and a range that is changeable. And you can see that that's all modifiable. This object should be able to go into that socket interactor, but I'm expecting it to go pretty wild when it does. So I reckon, and if you're using the simulator, the easiest way is to pick the gun up and kind of put it on the magazine like that. Oh, that worked way easier than I thought. I was expecting the physics to interact. That has been a problem in the past, but oh, there it was. If I let go of it, you see the twitch. There it is. It's having a lovely little time bouncing around. So that behaviour is obviously not desirable because the magazine is a physics object interacting with this physics object. They're inside of each other and they don't want to be like that. So what we're going to tell it to do is when we put the magazine in place, destroy the magazine, but tell the amount of ammo to increase as well. I'm also going to take the opportunity to move the socket interactor because I could see that was off center, and I could move it up and I could do whatever I wanted. But a couple of things to do here. Before we do anything else, the magazine slot, the socket interactor, currently accepts any object that is grabbable. Everything could go into this magazine slot and reload this gun. That's done. I only want magazines to reload this gun, and you could have different magazines for different types of weapons. This is your interaction layer mask that you're interested in using. So I'm now going to add a new layer, a bit like when we created multiple tags and stuff like that. I'm going to add a new layer, click on the little drop down, and we want a layer called mag. Now if I click back on the socket interactor, I can choose nothing apart from magazines can go in this slot. Same deal for the actual magazine. On its grab interactable, its layer mask is not default. I want it on nothing apart from mag. That socket will accept only that thing. I will, however, in hindsight, go back and put that on default and mag, my fault. Make sure you do that as well, otherwise your hands won't be able to grab it. So I want it on default and magazine, my fault. That prevents anything else being socketed into that. You don't want to put a grenade into your gun and reload your gun. Who knows, maybe you do. Maybe that's cool for a grenade launcher. But now what we can say is our socket interactor, when it is interacted with, so this socket goes into it, so it's selected, we're going to call our script that we already wrote and tell it to reload. But here is a problem. If I drag in the gun into that slot, which is right, I want you to do that, drag the gun into that slot and choose the shoot script, I've got a reload function which should work, but it won't be complete yet. So let's see if that actually works. So again, if you're in the device simulator, pick the gun up, socket it in. Okay, have we now got more ammo in our gun? If we've got 12 rounds of ammo, it's worked. Oh, there you go, worked. The next step, though, is to tell it to destroy the magazine that went into it, because you don't want the magazine to be able to pull, to pull it out and then pull it back in, and that just constantly reloads the gun. So what we're going to do here is in the reload space, use the information that's provided here. Activate event args. That's what we're interested in. We want to type in here, activate event args. Notice activate event args is what we would not want, not just activate event. If you give that a click, it should add a line of code to the top. And I'm just going to call this the word data. So that's the type of information, and that's the reference to the information. So as well as reloading the gun, I'm going to tell the data about the socketing. I'm going to get from that the interactable object. I always get this backwards. XR socket interactor is not the thing I want to get rid of. The interactable object is. So I'm choosing interactable object dot game object dot transform dot game object. Perfect. That's the thing I want to delete. So at the start of the line, I want to destroy all of that. So regular brackets around that. When the magazine is socketed, we store that as a piece of data and then destroy the piece of data. From that we can figure out what the interactable object was, and we can find its game object, which we can then destroy. Lots of layers. And that should remove the magazine, hopefully. Really difficult to test in headset because I can't see my ammo capacity, but you can. If only there was some way of making it display the ammo amount on screen. Oh, I forgot to change that. Oh well. 5 ammo. If I put the magazine on the gun, well, that clearly didn't work, did it? Socket interactor. There you go. The problem here is because I've changed the script, I now need to re-choose on the socket interactor what I want it to do. The shoot script fires the weapon. No, it doesn't. The shoot script reloads the weapon, which I would have expected to be up here. Why is that not there? Should be dynamic. Select enter event args. Sorry guys, I'm taking you on a wild goose chase here. Our reload script shouldn't say activate event args, it should say selected enter event args. My fault, I got carried away. Selected enter event args is what we want. That will make it dynamic, that will allow us to select it from the choice. Back to the socket interactor. I want the chute. There it is. Now we can see reload is at the top of the list and it is dynamic, which is what we want. Our gun. I'm going to change it so it has 5 ammo. We go and socket it. The magazine disappeared and hopefully I've got 12 ammo. There we go. Progress. How long have I been going? Half hour. You lucky people. Right. Done that. Done that. Now's the fun bit. Making it actually display the ammo onto the gun. Whenever you're dealing with UI in VR, that is a world space thing. So what we're going to do is with our gun, I'm going to right click, choose UI, because it's user interface, that's what UI is short for, and we're going to be using Text Mesh Pro. We may have to import it the first time we use it, and then you can close that box down. This will create a canvas attached to the gun that will be stupid big. So if I zoom out, there it is. Stupid, stupid, stupid big. I want that to just be like a little rectangle by the gun. To do that, I'm going to just scale it. Easy thing to do. Scale tool. Zoom, 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 zoom. My fault again, I've done that completely wrong. That's why it's the wrong size. Delete that and come back to your gun. It's not UI, it's an element of UI from the XR, my fault entirely. So choose XR and choose UI canvas instead. That should be already included with the settings that we want and should be a much more manageable size. They are still big, but more manageable. That will be set to world space by default. Saves you having to change some settings. So I'm just now going to use the scale tool to scale that down and down and down and down and down. Whoops. Not so it's inside out. So you want the scale to be quite small, but you don't want it to be a minus value. It goes a minus value if it goes inside out like that. And I'm going to put it over here by the gun. I'm going to put it to the left of the gun. Notice how I'm using the square in the middle. That keeps it the same scale. You can also press the lock button so it'll stay the same size. Then I want the canvas. I'm going to right click on canvas and add a UI element, which will be Text Mesh Pro. That's where I was getting carried away. And I'm going to scale that down so it fits in the box. You can change the size and you can change the font. I do have a tutorial on how to change the font for UI. I just pressed F, by the way, to reset the view. Currently, I'm just going to set this to say 0. A big juicy 0, and that should follow the gun around as the gun moves. Now we can go back to our shooting script one final time. And we're going to add a reference to a public Text Mesh Pro U GUI, which should also import TM Pro at the top. And I'm going to call this ammo text. Every time we fire the gun or reload the weapon, we're going to tell the ammo text to display the amount of ammo. So every time we fire the weapon, I'm trying to think the best place to put this. I'll just put it here at the bottom. The ammo text ammo text dot text is going to be equal to the amount of ammo dot to a string. Open and close brackets, semicolon, say that you're done. And we're going to also do that when we reload. I want to copy that line of code. I also want that to happen when we reload. Only one thing we need to do now is to tell our shoot script that that is the piece of text we want to update. So on our shooting script, there should now be a slot for the ammo text, and I'm going to drag the text into that slot because that is the piece of text we want to change. Now, I don't need you guys to tell me how much ammo I've got. I can see it written on my gun. Currently got 0 ammo. I've now got 12 ammo. And if I'd got another magazine, I could reload it. So in the style of always test, never trust, let's see what happens if that's the case. Okay, well I'm pleased to test. Oh no, because I've got ammo, that makes sense. I shouldn't be able to destroy anything. There you go, I can destroy stuff. Well, I'm not getting my ammo back, am I? You get the idea. That should work quite well, but always test it and see what comes out of it. So in this tutorial, we have now done all of these things. We've added hands to the weapon and shown you how you can make them disappear when you interact and grab an object, adding the shoot script that limits the number of shots, reloads in based on a magazine or a clip, adding a socket interactor to the magazine, limiting the socket so only magazines can reload it, and adding an ammo count. If you'd like to join me for part 2, I'm also going to talk about health. I think I'll do that as another tutorial. Thank you very much, everybody. Talk to you soon.